revealing the most formidable Native American tribes in history. It was the 19th century on the North American plains, and one nation struck more fear into the heart of the United States military than any other. They were the Comanche, masters of the horse. Their dominance was unmatched. At their height, they controlled a territory larger than France, over 240,000 square miles, a domain they called Comancheria. The Comanche weren't just warriors. They were a military economic empire. For nearly 2 centuries, they halted Spain's northward expansion. They raided deep into Mexico, dictated terms to local governments, and resisted American encroachment for decades. When the United States moved west, it wasn't just a matter of conquering wilderness. It was about confronting powers like the Comanche, organized, relentless, and mobile. The transformation of the Comanche began in the 1600s, when they acquired horses from Spanish settlements to the south. Originally part of the eastern Shoshone in the northern Rockies, they migrated south onto the plains and adapted with astonishing speed. They didn't just ride horses, they revolutionized mounted warfare. A Comanche warrior could guide his horse with his knees, fire arrows while hanging off the side of his mount, and strike with lightning speed. Their raids extended across Texas, New Mexico, and northern Mexico. They took captives, traded slaves, and created a massive black market for horses. Their economy thrived on mobility, violence, and strategic negotiation. One of the most famous Comanche leaders was Quanah Parker, the son of War Chief Peta Nocona and Cynthia Ann Parker, an Anglo-American woman taken captive and adopted into Comanche life. Quanah Parker represented a new kind of leadership: military commander, diplomat, and bridge between two worlds. Under his leadership, the Comanche resisted American forces deep into the 1870s. But the Comanche's power wasn't eternal. Smallpox and cholera ravaged their numbers. The extermination of buffalo herds by American hunters destroyed their food supply. And by the mid-1870s, the U.S. military launched a relentless campaign known as the Red River War. Starved and surrounded, the Comanche finally surrendered in 1875. But they weren't the only power to shape the continent. To the northeast, in the forests of what's now New York State, another kind of empire had risen long before European contact. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy, also known as the Iroquois League, was perhaps the most sophisticated political alliance in pre-colonial North America. It was founded by the great peacemaker and Hiawatha, spiritual and political leaders who united 5 rival nations: the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. The Tuscarora would later join as the 6th. Together, they formed the Iroquois Confederacy, the people of the Longhouse. Their political system was revolutionary. Based on the Great Law of Peace, the Iroquois created a council of chiefs selected by clan mothers. These chiefs governed by consensus and were bound to act in the interest of the people. There were checks and balances. Leaders could be removed if they failed in their duties. Their form of representative government would later influence American constitutional thought. Benjamin Franklin himself admired the structure and diplomacy of the Iroquois League. The Iroquois were also formidable militarily. In the 1600s and 1700s, they fought the Beaver Wars, seeking to dominate the fur trade with Europeans. Armed with muskets, they launched devastating attacks on rival tribes like the Huron, Erie, and Susquehannock, driving some to extinction or migration. Their territory stretched from the Great Lakes to the Ohio Valley. During the colonial era, the Iroquois played European powers against each other, sometimes allied with the British, sometimes the French. They maintained political leverage through strategic neutrality. But the American Revolution fractured the Confederacy. Most nations sided with the British. The Mohawk leader Joseph Brant fought fiercely against the revolutionaries. But after the British defeat, Iroquois lands were seized and their power broken. Still, their legacy as statesmen, warriors, and nation builders endures. Their Great Law of Peace was not just a tribal custom. It was a governing constitution that maintained unity among separate nations for centuries. To understand resistance, however, we must turn back to the Great Plains, this time to the north. The Lakota, or Western Sioux, emerged as one of the most powerful native nations of the 19th century. Originally from the upper Mississippi region, the Lakota were pushed westward by conflict and opportunity. They adopted horses, adapted to the open plains, and became expert buffalo hunters and mounted fighters. The Lakota were not a single unified tribe, but a collection of 7 bands. Their strength lay in mobility, kinship, and shared language and culture. They forged powerful alliances with the Cheyenne and Arapaho. They built economies based on the buffalo and defended their lands with extraordinary discipline. Their leaders became legends. Red Cloud, who led the first successful war against the United States Army. Sitting Bull, a spiritual leader and tactician. Crazy Horse, the warrior's warrior, cunning, fearless, and elusive. In the 1860s, the U.S. built forts along the Bozeman Trail, which passed through prime Lakota hunting territory in the Powder River country. Red Cloud demanded they leave. When they refused, he launched a war. In 1866, Red Cloud's warriors lured a detachment under Captain William Fetterman into an ambush. Every man was killed. It was the worst defeat suffered by the U.S. Army on the plains up to that point. In 1868, the U.S. signed the Treaty of Fort Laramie. They agreed to abandon the forts and recognize the Black Hills as Lakota territory. It was a stunning political and military victory, but it wouldn't last. In 1874, gold was discovered in the Black Hills. Prospectors flooded the area in violation of the treaty. The government offered to buy the land. The Lakota refused. The Great Sioux War of 1876 followed, and on June 25th of that year, Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors met the 7th U.S. Cavalry near the Little Bighorn River. Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer led a premature and overconfident assault. He was surrounded and annihilated. Over 260 soldiers died in what became known as Custer's Last Stand. It was a moment of defiance, but the U.S. response was overwhelming. Troops poured into the region. Tribes were hunted down, supplies destroyed, villages burned. Crazy Horse surrendered in 1877 and was killed later that year. Sitting Bull fled to Canada but surrendered in 1881. The Lakota were forced onto reservations. The Black Hills were taken, illegally and without compensation. Other tribes, too, had power and influence. The Apache in the Southwest conducted decades of resistance under leaders like Geronimo and Cochise. The Seminole in Florida fought 3 wars against the United States, never fully defeated. The Cherokee developed a written constitution, schools, and a newspaper in their own language, only to be forced west along the Trail of Tears. The Nez Perce under Chief Joseph made a legendary 100-mile retreat before surrendering within sight of the Canadian border. But among all these, the Comanche, Iroquois, and Lakota stand as towering examples. Each built formidable societies. Each mastered their environment, whether plains, forests, or river valleys. Each confronted colonial and U.S. expansion with military innovation, political intelligence, and cultural resilience. So what happened to these great powers? Disease, broken treaties, forced removals, and military campaigns eroded their independence. But they were never erased. The Comanche, Haudenosaunee, and Lakota nations still exist. Their languages are spoken, their ceremonies continue. Their young people remember their ancestors' stories. The irony is this: the United States, in expanding westward, did not just battle scattered tribes. It fought nations, organized, adaptive, and enduring. And in many ways, those nations still endure today. Their story is not one of disappearance, it is one of survival.